Welcome to the Money Love Podcast. I'm your host and money coach, Paige. If you're ready to uplevel your results in relationship with money, you're in the right place. Each week, I give you the tools to transform your mindset, manage your emotions, and achieve results with your money you never dreamed were possible. Hello, welcome to episode 9 of the Money Love Podcast. Like I say every week, I am so happy that you are here, but especially this week because I think that this episode is going to be really interesting to a lot of you because we are going to be talking about your capacity to have money. This is definitely not something that many people talk about when it comes to money. Most people are going to talk to you about how to make money, how to spend money, how to invest money, how to save money. But then there is this very important skill of developing a capacity to simply just have your money. It is fascinating, truly. I think it's like one of the most interesting things when it comes to developing a healthy relationship with your money is just developing the capacity to have it. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. Like I said, this is probably not going to be something that anyone has ever talked to you about, but it's a skill that is so important to hone. So let's just talk about what this even means. What does developing a capacity to simply have your money mean? What does that look like? Having money is a mindset where you actually like your money and where you're comfortable with the amount of money that you have and you can simply just be with it. You don't feel pressure to spend it. You don't feel pressure to get rid of it. You don't feel pressure to give it away. You can just have it because you love your money for simply just being your money. Not because of what you think it gives you, not because of how it makes you feel, not because of what it will buy you, but simply just because it's your money. I'm going to tell you this right off the bat at the beginning of this episode. This is something that is much easier said than done. It's something that our brains want to tell us that we're ready for and that we have the ability to do. But then I promise you, when it comes down to it, so many people are actually really challenged with this skill because it means the ability to just be with your money, to be financially successful in whatever way it is that you define that. The truth is that many people really struggle just to have their money. A lot of people experience this level of an internal dissonance with themselves when they have a certain level of money because to them it represents something or it says something about them. And so what happens is that they immediately want to spend it as soon as it hits their bank account. And I used to be, trust me, I used to be the poster child for this. In the impulse spending episode that you listened to last week, I told you about how I blew through an entire year's salary. When you hear that, it's pretty startling to hear a $60,000 annual salary. I completely blew through it. I honestly think that one of the biggest reasons for this, of why I truly did that, what was really lying at the foundation of that, is that I had not developed my capacity just to have money. Because before that, right, that was the first time in my life that I really started making any substantial amount of money. I went from probably not having any more than $20 in my bank account at any given point in time as a high school student, as a broke college student. So I went from that to making $60,000 a year. It was a literal 0 to 60. And with that increase in income, I did not increase my capacity to have. And so it created this huge problem in my life. Now that I think back to that time in my life, now knowing what I know, I can clearly see that there was for sure a part of me that felt really uncomfortable with making that amount of money. And so to avoid that discomfort, to avoid having to deal with the internal dissonance that I felt of having that amount of money, what I did was I just went and spent it as soon as I got it. I never allowed myself just to sit with it and have it before then intentionally deciding the purpose I wanted it to serve in my life. I had no capacity just to have money without spending it. I couldn't just be with it. Really, when you think about it, we do this in a lot of other areas of our life as well. We do this with our health. We want skinnier bodies, but then we start to get it. And so then we self-sabotage and we gain the weight back. We do this with our relationships. We want so badly to find our life partner, but then we meet like the perfect person for us, and then we start to push them away. We do this with our accomplishments. We go out and we accomplish something, and then we don't even take time to appreciate it. We're just straight on to the next conquest. Trust me, I am so guilty of this one. I know that this is an area that I still have to do a lot of work in. Part of me really doesn't still know how to just accomplish something amazing and then just be with the accomplishment, right? Without wishing it away and moving on to the next milestone. I know about myself that I really struggle just being with an accomplishment and sitting with the success. It's a challenge for me. And it's a challenge for a lot of people to do in all different areas of our life. Most of us simply just default to sabotaging our success. We just don't know how to be there. We don't know how to have it. We don't have the capacity to just sit with the abundance that we've created for ourselves. This concept is so fascinating to me, I'm telling you. And you see this all over the place. Now that you're paying attention to this, you will see it everywhere. So, specifically with money, some areas that we see this a lot. Lottery winners. According to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, okay, I just want to tell you where these stats are coming from, what the source of this data is, right? But according to the CFPBS, I guess that's what they call themselves, these statistics are startling. Lottery winners are more likely to declare bankruptcy within 3 to 5 years than the average American is. Also, nearly 1/3 of lottery winners eventually declare bankruptcy. These are people who have just suddenly come into millions upon millions of dollars, more money than most people in this lifetime could ever dream of having. And yet, they are more likely to declare bankruptcy than the average American. A third of them eventually do declare bankruptcy. You also see this a lot with professional athletes. We know how much money athletes make, professional athletes. I ran across this stat in an article on Business Insider, and it said that 60% of NBA players go broke within 5 years of departing the league. And also 78%, okay, almost 8 out of 10 former NFL players experience financial distress 2 years after retirement. You guys, we're not talking about 10%, 20%, even half. We are talking about 80% of these players who, again, are making a lot of money, but yet 2 years out of the league, they're in a situation where they're facing financial distress. Okay, that is startling. Now, are there other factors at play that contribute to these statistics? Sure. There's making bad investments, there's family members that start coming out of the woods and who want to pay out, and other things that contribute to this. But I truly think that underneath it all, it's that these people have not yet developed their capacity to have that amount of money. It's too much for them. So, in order to get rid of the discomfort and the internal dissonance that they feel having this amount of money, what they do is that they go out and they sabotage. And so then they eventually end up broke. And so I know it can be easy just to look at somebody and say, like, oh, okay, well, if I had that amount of money, I would never do that. Like, that would never happen to me. But I really do want you to think about this. I want you to place yourself in their shoes for just a minute. Let's think through this scenario. I know that it's fun to think about having a lot of money, and our brains always want to tell us that we want more money because of the way that it's going to make us feel and all the stuff that we'd be able to buy with it and how our lives would look so much different with more money. But let's just say that tomorrow you woke up and you logged into your bank account and there was an insane amount of money sitting in there, whatever that is for you, $1 million, $5 million, $10 million, $100 million, whatever a lot of money is to you. I want you to think about what would happen in that scenario. I think at first, most of us would experience a level of excitement and really just the sense of, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I have so much money. There would be this buzz around it. But I think what would happen as more time went on is that your brain would kind of start to freak out a little bit. Eventually, you would get to the point once the excitement and the allure wears off, and you're just going to be like, whoa, this is a lot of money. This is a lot of pressure. This is a lot of responsibility. Do I deserve this? Am I worthy of this? Can I be trusted with this amount of money? All of these questions and these fears, doubts, insecurities, all of it is going to start to come up, I'm going to guess. But Here's what would really be happening underneath it all. At the core of it, what would happen in that scenario is that you would be having an identity crisis. You would feel like an imposter about it. You would feel like a fraud and probably like it's only a matter of time until somebody figures out that this wasn't meant for you, that for some reason you were never meant to have this much money and you're going to be exposed. So then it becomes this situation where the thing that you've always wanted, right, to have a lot of money and to be wealthy, then becomes a source of shame. And then you start sabotaging it and hiding it and lying about it. This very thing that once was the thing, the answer that you always thought was going to make everything better. But now you're at a point where you can't feel proud for it. You can't feel excited for it. You can't just enjoy it because you have no capacity for joy. Because that capacity for joy has been swallowed up by all the fears and the doubts and the insecurities. As soon as something good happens, we immediately anticipate losing it. If you've ever listened or watched an episode of The Dave Ramsey Show, you will see this from time to time. Now, listen, I don't agree with everything that Dave Ramsey says or teaches, but I am very familiar with his work. I have watched a lot of his shows, and I do think in this area, he hits the nail on the head. So what happens a lot is people will call into his show who have recently inherited a large amount of money. Usually it's from somebody in their family passing away. So somebody has passed away and they've inherited just this windfall of money. And so they call Dave and they're like, okay, Dave, this is what I inherited. What should I do with it? And instead of Dave telling them, well, you should do this and then do this and then do this, the first thing that he always tells them to do, he says, I don't want you to do anything with it right now. I just want you to have it, to sit with it, to get comfortable with it. He's always like, you're not really in a state of mind right now where I want you going out and doing anything with this money. Before you go out and do anything with it, just get comfortable with it. Just have it and just develop a new identity as somebody who has this amount of money before going out and spending it. And I always love it when he tells people that because I think it's so true. That is essentially him telling people, without using the lingo, that they have to develop their capacity to have this amount of money before they can go out and do something with it from a clean place. So let's talk about why this happens. Let's talk about why this is automatically where our brains go when we are shifting into having more money, right? Like, why is it that it's all the fears and the doubts and the insecurities that come up? Let's talk about that. So right now you have beliefs about yourself. You have formed an identity of who you are that you're very comfortable with and that you cling on to. And your identity is simply how you choose to see yourself. So you have thoughts about who you are and about what you're capable of. And then what happens is you have this little inkling that maybe you're wrong. And so you go out and you set new goals for yourself and you try to go out into the world and accomplish new things. And for a lot of people, when it comes to money, what this looks like is they want to go out and increase their income. They want to make more money. And at the core of it, this process isn't really about making more money. This process is the process of changing who you currently are. It's changing your current identity. What you're doing is you're killing off your old identity, which makes your brain fritz out. Remember, your brain, your primitive survival brain, hates change. So any type of change means to your brain that you are opening yourself up to a lot of loss, but that you're also opening yourself up to a lot of potential for greatness, which is why this process is so uncomfortable and why it really does bring up your biggest and most subconscious fears and insecurities up to the surface. Because when you're striving to reach your full financial potential, this is what is happening underneath the surface. It's certainly not just about going out and making more money. It's about creating a new identity for yourself. And in order for you to reach your full financial potential, you have to learn how to get comfortable with and how to simply just have the amount of money that you are destined to make. Because think about this, there's no point in you going out and making out the money that you've been called to make if then you're just going to turn around and sabotage it all. That doesn't serve the world or serve you in any way. And so in order to avoid this, we have to work on replacing your old identity as somebody who makes what you currently make now and replace that with someone who makes the amount of money that you're destined to make. Whatever those two wins are for you and your unique situation, right? You're going to have the identity of somebody who makes what you currently make, and then you're going to have the identity of the person who makes the amount that would be you reaching your full financial potential. So I've shared my mission with you before, but my mission, truly, what I wake up every day striving to do is to help you reach your full financial potential, whatever that looks like for you. Whether that means making $50,000 a year, 6 figures a year, 7 figures a year, multiple 7 figures a year, whatever. So you are going to set out to go do this. And then for a while, there is going to be this level of dissonance, meaning that what you're doing isn't matching up with what you're believing is coming down the road. So for example, if I want to say that I want to make $100,000 a year, but my current identity is rooted in somebody who makes $40,000 a year, the belief of what I'm capable of doesn't reflect my reality. And that's really uncomfortable, and it brings up a lot of doubts. And I want you to know that that's coming. If you want to make more money and increase your capacity to have, this is for sure something that you're going to experience. And if you're evolving and growing and attempting to blow your own mind with your money, you're going to have to learn the skill of just being in abundance with yourself. And here's one way that I do this. You can implement your own version of this. So right now, I like to think that I'm somebody who makes $1 million a year. I like to think that I'm a millionaire, and I spend a lot of time thinking and visualizing about what millionaire Paige is like, what her life looks like, what her day-to-day looks like, all of it. Now, I'm not there yet. I don't make $1 million a year currently. That is not my present reality, but it is my goal and what I want to get to eventually. And so what I'm doing now is I'm building up to that identity before I'm even there, so that once I get there, I'm not in a state of conflict with myself. I can be making the $1 million a year and not freak out about it, not feel unworthy of it, not convince myself that this result was just a fluke. Like this life that I've built really isn't for me. I won't be worried about it getting taken away or losing it. And I can already have the foundation laid of an identity of somebody who makes $1 million a year, which will make it that much easier for me to simply settle into that amount of income and just to have it once I get there. So in this way, I'm building up my capacity to have, and I'm slowly shifting away from my current identity to this new identity of somebody who makes $1 million a year. I'm believing that I have it before I actually have it. I'm assuming this identity when honestly, there's really no reason for me to currently believe that I should, but I know that this process is going to enable me to successfully have more money, have more success, have more responsibility without getting there and then start pushing it away and sabotaging all the abundance that I've created for myself. Now, I encourage you to do this as well. You want to make 6 figures, but you're not there yet? The best and easiest way to create 6 figures is to assume the identity of somebody who makes 6 figures. To be thinking the thoughts, to be feeling the feelings, to be taking the actions of somebody who makes 6 figures. Do what they do. Do that now, not when you get there. Because if you wait to do those things until you arrive at 6 figures, it's going to be a lot harder. And your likelihood of engaging in those self-sabotaging behaviors when you get to that point is going to be a lot greater. Visualization is a really good tool for this. I like to spend 5 to 10 minutes of my morning routine visualizing, sitting in quiet, sitting in focused, sitting in calm, just closing my eyes and really visualizing what millionaire Paige is going to look like. So you can do the same thing. Visualize what 6-figure you or whatever the number it is that you're trying to get to will look like. How will that identity be different than your current identity of where you are right now? Visualize it, get super clear, get super specific, and really become comfortable with that future version of yourself. Another thing that's getting in the way of us being able to reach our full financial potential and have our money is really guilt and a lack of self-worth. We have shame that we don't deserve our money, that we're unworthy of it. And many of us have a lot of guilt that in us having it, someone else is losing out. We feel that we're not lovable, that we're not capable, that we don't deserve what we have, that we should feel bad. And so what happens is we end up pushing it and giving it all away. But let me remind you that money isn't moral. It says nothing about you. You don't have to feel bad or guilty about it. Remember, money simply just makes you more of who you already are. If you're here listening, I know you're an amazing person. I know you're a good person, which means that the more money that you have, the more good and amazing things that you can do in the world because you're a good person, which means you're going to do good things with your money. Remember, money is an abundant resource. There's plenty of it for anyone out there wanting to increase their capacity to have more of it. More for you doesn't mean less for others. More for you means more for others. In the book, You Are a Badass at Making Money, one of my favorite money mindset books, Jen Sincero, she has the best humor, but there's this line in her book where she says, "You living your fullest life and making all of the money required to do so doesn't take anything away from anybody else any more than you refusing a ham sandwich because somebody somewhere is starving helps them." So just remember the fact that you having more doesn't mean less for others, and you sabotaging it or pushing it away doesn't mean that somehow it's going to benefit others. All it's doing in the long run is just harming you, harming others, harming the world. And so we just have to think about, like, why is success so hard for us sometimes? Why is it so difficult for us to just have and appreciate the abundance that we create for ourselves? I think that one of the main reasons, as cheesy and cliche as this sounds, I truly believe that it's because we don't love ourselves enough to think that we're deserving of it. We think that we can't be trusted with it and that we're not capable enough to do good with it. And so the answer to combat all of this is really just having love and compassion for yourself. The answer is accepting your own worthiness, of accepting your own blessings, of accepting your own abundance that you've created for yourself in your life. As women, the best gift that we can give to one another is just to be who we are at the highest level, to go out and create a ton of money and a ton of abundance and a ton of success in the world, and know that we are worthy of it all. To not go out and sabotage ourselves or complain about it or hate other women who are creating more than us, but instead just to be with our ultimate potential. Because when you can embrace success, when you can embrace having what you have, you can embrace abundance. And from there, you can go out and create as much of it as you want. So many people come from the opposite end of it. They come from the scarcity end of it. They come from, I don't have enough, so I have to go out and get enough. And once I go out and get enough, I will be enough, right? And it's like, no, 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 no. That's not the way it works. It is always, I am enough no matter what I have. And when I go out and I create more, I can learn how to have that too. That is the point. We have to learn how to be and how to have at every level of our evolution. In a lot of ways, it's much easier not to have, because then you don't have to deal with the guilt or the imposter syndrome or the urge to sabotage yourself, right? Like, that's so much easier to do. But I want to encourage you to go through the fire, because that is the way of evolution for you personally and for your brain and for humankind. The most amazing gift that you have to give to the world is to grow into the fullest version of yourself, to reach your full financial potential and to have it without apology. Go show other people how it's done. Not because you deserve it or you don't deserve it, but because you're a human who is enough, who has all the ability to go out and create what is possible for you in the world. You have to learn to be with and have the money and the abundance that is in store for you, that's on its way to you, that's destined for you. Because too many women are keeping themselves broke, not because they're not capable of creating more money, but because they don't think they're worthy of it. They don't think they deserve it, so then they can't have it. They push it away and they sabotage their financial future. Simply put, you have to develop your capacity to have your money, because that is going to be the difference between you creating the wealth that affords you the life that you want to live instead of settling for what you think you can get. So I want to leave you in this episode with a quote from, again, You Are a Badass at Making Money, Jen Sincero. Highly recommend that you read. It's one of my favorite money mindset books. She says, take a deep breath, trust your desires, and embrace the fact that your quest for riches is a quest to become more of who you truly are. We don't all desire to live a huge fancy life or to solve world hunger. That's not what this is about. It's about you letting yourself be the biggest badass you can be, whatever that happens to look like for you. You are meant to thrive, and by thriving, you automatically help others to thrive too. Okay, I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Again, work on that identity. If you want to grow and you want to evolve, you're going to have to shed who you are in this present moment and form a new identity of somebody who is capable of more success, more money, more abundance. It's not an easy process, but it is a worthwhile process, and I'm here to help you do that. I love you, and I will see you next week. Bye. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Money Love Podcast. If you're loving the podcast, then I want to invite you to join me in the Overcoming Overspending membership. It's where we take this work deeper and apply the concepts and coaching from each week's episode into your own life. By being a member, you have exclusive access to my Overcoming Overspending process, 10 monthly live coaching calls with me, a private podcast, members-only community, monthly money topic and challenge, bonus courses, and so much more. There's nowhere else like it out there to level up your finances and life. Simply go to overcomingoverspending.com to join, and you can enter in the code MLP30 at checkout to save $30 on your first month inside the membership. See you inside.